Hey everyone, you're here with Mark Batwell at perfectgardens.com. Today we're going to be talking about how to use the Excel spreadsheet that we released about a few days ago. Now you're listening to this probably a week later. And this Excel spreadsheet is to make it easier for people to use dry amendments. And right now we're on with Dave and Mark, some of the members of Perfect Gardens, which you can join on the join button that you find on YouTube.
If you haven't checked out our monthly membership, I highly recommend to do so. Just for $2.99, your questions get sent to the top for quick replies. And if you haven't heard, I was recently sent a cease and desist order, threatened with a lawsuit if I didn't take down my review against Clean Cleaner. I'm asking for a little more support to build up my war chest so that I can continue to keep giving you open and honest reviews, and we can further defend our right for free speech. Thank you so much, everyone.
But today he wanted some more assistance and help, and so we decided to jump on board, record the call, and make it easier for everyone to use this Excel spreadsheet. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Mark, you want to introduce yourself, brother?
Yep, I'm on here. Got my pencil and paper out. Ready.
Can you see my screen?
I can.
Do you see all the Amazon links and stuff like that?
I do.
Okay, cool. So basically what we're trying to do with dry, and this does not have to be just with dry amendments. This can also be with your regular nutrients as well. And so over time, my goal with this Excel spreadsheet is to build out other nutrient lines that I basically have all of the products. And as you're using the soil mix tractor, or even just like, so on the very bottom, do you see these tabs where it says equipment, soil mix tracker, daily grow log, curing, right, and curing log, yep, stuff like that? Okay. So over time, there's going to be more tabs there, and there's a good chance that I'm going to be breaking it, kind of breaking these things up. So if you're using Down to Earth or Gaia, or you're using general hydroponics, you'll be able to go to the tab, and you'll be able to come here and you'll be like, okay, I know on the left side, you see where it says primary, secondary, and micronutrients.
Yep.
Okay. And so right here, all we're doing right here is just making a note. If you watch the Mr. Grow It video, or you've downloaded the presentation of how to track like how all these things look, these are just a quick reference, like mobile, semi-mobile, immobile, starting on the older growth, newer growth, something like that. And right, it's just a quick reminder. So as you're going through your grow, you're going to be able to come right here and you're going to say, okay, before planting, like what did you, obviously, first thing you're going to do is you're going to mix up your soil, right? So you're going to come up here and you're going to put, let's say, happy frog. Oh, I don't want to use that word. I'm just going to use what we had actually. Oh, and going back real fast, anyone using this link right here, it's a Google Docs link. You can actually make suggestions, you can make comments, but what you can also do, you come over to the file and you can download it on your own computer. And that's exactly what I want you guys to do, is download it on the computer, but at the same time, make sure to come back to this original link between each grow and download the newest version, because I'm going to be expanding this. The whole membership is going to be contributing to it and improving it and making it easier. And I'll give you an example. Let's say you needed some back guano, and all you do would be to just click this link and it would take you directly to the Amazon link. This is also where you can kind of help support me through Amazon affiliate links, because everyone's buying through Amazon. If not, no big deal. But right here, these links aren't just going to, like, over time, the nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, these are going to be linked to videos and like pictures. So if you weren't sure what it was and you think it might be something, you click here, it'll pop open into a video breaking it down for you. And they're like, okay, I'm seeing a nitrogen deficiency. And I'm seeing a nitrogen deficiency in week 4. So you just put it in and a def, right? So nitrogen deficiency. And this right here is going to be like, all right, I'm seeing this deficiency in week 4. And then let's say you have a good pH, because you've been tracking your pH in week 1, 2, 3. Let's say you go through all these procedures and you're just seeing a nitrogen deficiency on week 4. Then you come back over here and let's say, for example, all you mixed in your soil initially like, let's say the box says you're supposed to put in 2 teaspoons per gallon of alfalfa meal, and then you're supposed to put two teaspoons for insect bast, kelp, and neem, bone, and langonite. And then let's say you somewhere in your mind you felt like those recommendations for 10 gallons of soil was too much, so you decided to cut it in half for some reason. So right here, initially, what you're going to want to do is you're going to come up here and you're going to put in the amount of soil you're using. So you'll say you're using 10 gallons of soil, right? So then you come down here and you put in the obviously there's going to be a recommended amount to use. So you just would put in 2 tablespoons, and it's going to tell you the amount of total measurement from teaspoons or a cup or total grams, because I know it's going to feel like you're using a lot of material. I promise you, when you have a cup and a half and you pour it in there, and then you get like 4 or 5 different amendments, you're going to feel like you're putting in too much. But something that Chris, the veteran that was speaking last night, kind of helped me even come to the realization further on, is that when you see like 3-1. And I'll open this up. When you see like 311 on these boxes, that's the total amount of material. They're required to put these numbers on the box before they sell it to you, right? But like, for example, Insect Flax isn't really for the NPK. That's not really why you're using it. You're using it for it to become a natural pesticide for the plants, right? And we're talking about with the shrimp meal or the crab meal, for example, and they make other liquid products that do a similar thing. What was that name again? It was the chitin. Anyways, whatever it was. And so you're going to feel like you're putting a lot in your soil, but you're not. And so even just 2 teaspoons per gallon. But let's say, for example, you felt like it was too much and you decided to only put 1 teaspoon per gallon of the insect class. You did the kelp, and let's say you put the alfalfa meal, you only put in 1 teaspoon. Would it kind of make sense, possibly, especially if you cooked your soil and started to make it more bioavailable? Would it make sense that you might be running into a nitrogen deficiency on some level in week 4 if you consciously put less in, thinking that it was too much?
Yeah.
Would like logically in your mind, I know I'm talking a little fast and I apologize, but would it make sense that you would possibly, if you're seeing a nitrogen deficiency in week 4, would it make sense that you're seeing it because I'm not saying you did this, but just as an example, you reduced the amount recommended, and you, instead of putting extra bone meal or extra amendments, you put only a small amount in your soil? Would it make sense that you're kind of running into a nitrogen deficiency in week 4?
It would. And I mean, I should stick with what is recommended.
100% agreed. We all should. It's a great place to actually start, and to always start with what you recommended. But like, this tracker is going to help you when you start to see the deficiency in week 4 or week 5. This is basically when you start to have to put in a top dress amendment and start to water it in. Also knowing, like, by you noticing that it's a nitrogen deficiency in week 4, and then you come back and you're like, well, you know what? I did put in less than I should have. Next time I'm going to make sure to put in 2 tablespoons per gallon, right? You're going to make sure to do it. So initially you only put in one per teaspoon. I'm not saying you did, we're just using an example, but then you come back later and you realize, okay, we're going through a nitrogen deficiency, but I'm right about to transition into flowering. So maybe putting on alfalfa meal might be a good example, but maybe you might want to put on bone meal, right? Because bone meal has 3 on the nitrogen and 15 on the phosphorus and some more, and calcium. So that would be a great amendment to top dress it and to help amend the issue of not putting enough amendments in initially. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, just get your baseline and get familiar with everything and stick with the course that's laid out for you.
Exactly. So let's say, for example, you end up putting in 2 tablespoons of bone meal and you're amending the top dressing it. Well, as you go through your entire grow, you're going to see different deficiencies at different times. And through fixing these deficiencies through top dressing, you'll slowly begin to add in different things. Let's say you put in that amount. Well, by the end of your grow, of you kind of course correcting things, you're going to end up having a total amount you use in your soil. Okay. And when you end up having a total amount you use in the soil at the end of the grow, you'll know what to start with on your next grow. So you don't run into any deficiencies. And by having no deficiencies, you're going to increase your yield after yield, and know what you need to re-amend your soil with based upon the deficiencies you're seeing throughout the grow, if that makes sense.
This is reusing the same soil.
Reusing the same soil, reusing the same cocoa, reusing the same,
right.
any growing media, as long as it's not hydroton. I'm not hydrogen, but rock wool.
Right.
So, yeah, does that make sense? What questions do you have around this?
Well, I do have a bunch of soil down, stockpiled. So this is all just, starting in January and learning and researching and making mistakes. And so I guess I do need to use up some soil product, but I guess that would change I guess I'd start with my same amendment that you've given me for each soil, and then go through it.
Yeah, slowly tracking it and getting familiar with the deficiencies and tracking the deficiencies as they're occurring, the bug problems, the different things. Because let's say you don't have any bug problems in the beginning, but then you run into some deficiencies in the end. Could potentially the amount of insect blast you added in the beginning, could that be increased on the next grow? You're just putting in small notes and being methodical around your thought process, and you're analyzing it based off observation versus what, the guy at the hydro store said.
Cool.
All right. So you saw the soil tracker. So guys, over time, this Excel spreadsheet is not totally built out. It's going to get better and better. And that's why you want to come back and re-download it because the links will get remade, whatever. Over time, we're going to be building also the daily growing tracker. And you should say thanks to Chris too. He helped build a lot of this stuff out. And this can evolve too. So the soil tracker is to really specifically track the soil amendment. You figure that out and you're going to really fix your life. But you also have another daily tracker where you're checking the temperature of the water, temperature of the environment, soil pH, or on a daily basis, you're making notes. So you have that one as well, that one there. And then you also have, over time, we're going to build out a really nice curing room log. So you are able to track your drying environment.
Awesome.
And then also, Dave also added this one, which I really liked as well. Every single time I run into an emergency or right when I meet someone, these are like pretty much like the questions I ask almost like every time. We'll be adding these, and Dave's right here on the video. You want to explain this a little bit, Dave?
Yeah. So basically, I try to make a simple format for people that could fill out. So if they were coming to Mark or coming with people into the group, because we tend to ask the same questions when our problems come up. And if we just start from the top and work our way down, we want to know, are you using commercial organic soil, pure cocoa? And then it just goes on. Where are you growing? Inside, outside, a tent? Because to help each other as a community, we also kind of have to understand the basic elements, which includes your if it's a tent, that's a totally different environment than an open space. And just something that they can print out, pre-fill out, and then share it with the group, and we can kind of see, okay, Mark is using this, he's using city water here. So we can get the mindset, because these are all the important things when determining what to do.
Another thing, trying to break off slightly on bringing up a topic we were discussing last night was cocoa. Having a really great conversation with someone, and this was making a connection between biochar, cocoa, and I know I'm going off topic a little bit, but it's going to loop back around, I believe. I realized that the pH through having this conversation with this gentleman, and I got to verify this, but he was saying that when you're using just straight cocoa, it always brings down the pH to 5.6. It's always like super low on acidity. And then I started to think a little bit also about, and he's brought up cation exchange. And then I came to we were talking about magnesium. And I was talking about how I believe magnesium is just a smaller trace mineral that ends up washing out of the cocoa. And then he tells me that it's that, but it's also that the fibrous hairs in the cocoa are similar to biochar. I hope my dad doesn't get upset if he listens to this, but he's been wanting to tell everyone this for months. Is basically the biochar just has so much surface area that it sucks everything in, kind of like coal. You don't want to use coal, but we're talking about biochar, like burnt wood. After you burn it, it has all these open holes where stuff can keep getting sucked in there, minerals, water, nutrients, all this stuff. Same thing happens to the cocoa too. And so before, you kind of like have to prime your cocoa before using it. And I think that's where there's just surface area in there, and it can rob your smaller minerals from the plant until it kind of finds homeostasis before giving it back to the plant. I found that to be really interesting. I wanted to share with you guys because now we're talking about media a little bit and pH and different stuff. So that being said, enough talking more. Sorry. You guys have any other questions around this, or you want to bring anything else before we jump off?
I'll add one last thing, and once people get familiarized with this sheet, it's going to be extremely beneficial if you don't already keep a personal journal with your daily, if you're watering, because that's really when you're going to understand deficiencies the best. It's like, okay, this is happening after maybe I overwatered it. So this is it's a really good tool to keep track and to track your progress and further your growth.
All right,
yeah,
cool, guys.
That's great. I mean, I've had my notepad, and it kept morphing into, oh, well, I didn't have that information. I needed that. And, since I'm still new at this, and but like you said, there's so much information that's standard, and it's hard to get everybody to stay in front of it. And then this keeps everybody on the same page.
Exactly. And exactly from equipment you're using, I guarantee you guys, all the way up to a 4x8, a 5x10 grow tent. This is all the roughly 80%, 90% of all the equipment you'll ever need. You will not ever need to deviate from this list that we're developing. Same thing with nutrients. We'll make different ones similar to this, where you're tracking your liquid feeds and then realizing, okay, I need to jack up a little more of this, a little less of that.
And I hope that some of this, goes through you too, right?
My vision for Perfect Gardens really is to create a healthier, systematic process of growing food, for the world. So in a sense, it's like, I kind of got, in my viewpoint, I got karmic sins from 160 years of family thought process that is problem solving, but not really thinking the long-term consequences of pushing forward a solution that wasn't the most beneficial. So I kind of, it'd be nice to make some sales. That's how I make a living, feed my family. But at the same time, too, though, I think if I was able to reflect back 50 years from now and know that I contributed to the solution, and that actually was the solution versus being the problem, I think that would be a nice turnaround for our family overall, for our karmic sin. So.
Love it. Yeah,
all right,
we're all in this together.
We are, man. Anything else? Any other questions?
Nope. I'm sure I will tomorrow.
All right, guys. Have a great day. Talk to you later.
Okay. Thanks for your help.
So I would actually flip that around. I would actually harvest the top colas and leave the lower buds to fill in. And the reason why is actually for multiple reasons.